Hi everyone, this is Christian from Blind Spectrum, and today we will be doing our first lesson video on the Brailliant BI 32. And if you're not familiar with this device, we actually did a previous video where we reviewed and talked about this device, and in the description below, you can find a link to that video. Now, let's go ahead and get started. Hello everyone. So today we will be covering how to connect your Brailliant BI 32, which I have right here in front of me in its nice neoprene soft case, to an iPhone. And I know there are a lot of blind people or just people out there that are like, no, iPhone is terrible, you should do Android. And my only rebuttal to that is, unfortunately, I do not have an Android device that I can demonstrate this on, but if anyone has any comments or list of steps that they would like to inform us about in order to connect one of these to a Android device, your cadence would be greatly appreciated. Now, moving right along, I am currently using an iPhone 7 Plus, running one of the newer versions of iOS 11, not the newest, but one of the newer versions. So first of all, I need you to open up your settings app, and then we're going to swipe through until we hear it say general. Alright, so we are in general. So we found general. We're going to double tap. And as a quick side note, we will be coming out with voiceover videos at some point in the future. So as you heard, there is a section on here called accessibility. So if you start with about, you're going to just keep swiping until you hear it say accessibility. Then you're going to double tap again. Then you hear the heading accessibility. And then the first heading you hear under that is vision. Now that means you're in the right place. So we're going to go into voiceover, because in voiceover, that is where we will have our Braille settings. So now we're going to keep doing our swipe right gesture, which is when we take one finger and swipe from the left-hand side to the right-hand side of the screen. And we're going to keep going until we hear it say Braille. And now in this Braille area, you hear it say voiceover back button, which will take us to the previous screen. Then you hear it say Braille, which is the heading. So output is 6 dot, which means it's in grade 1. And input is contracted right now, which means that I could type in grade 2. But we'll go over that a little bit later on. Braille screen input is currently 6 dot, which means it's in contracted 6 dot for input. Status cells. Equations use Nemeth code on. Show on-screen keyboard off, which that's not necessarily, that last one is more of a personal preference. We can get into it later. So Braille code is English Unified, which is the current version of Braille that is accepted, which is also known as UEB. So now you hear choose a Braille display, which it'll be searching. So there's an apex I can connect to. And that's it right now. So now we're going to take the Brailliant out of its case. Set that over to the side. and we're going to use this power button on the right hand side underneath the charging port, which is just a standard micro USB. We're going to hold it down until we hear it beep. And when you turn it on, it will automatically go into pairing mode. And now we just have to wait for it to register on the phone.
Brailliant BI 3271, not paired.
And there we go.
Brailliant BI 3271, pairing. Alert. Brailliant BI 3271 would like to pair with your iPhone. Confirm that the PIN code 561014 is shown on Brailliant BI 3271.
And as far as I can tell, it is.
Cancel. Button. Pair. Button.
So I'm going to click pair.
Selected. Brailliant BI 3271, connected. Button.
So currently, it is now connected to my iPhone. All right, and finally, we are going to be going over some basic commands and where you can find these keyboard commands or Braille display commands to control your device. But let's start out with the navigation and selecting. So your basic navigation keys are going to be these thumb keys. So the far left one, like we said, will go back one whole selection,
Input. Contracted. Button.
and the right key will go forward.
Braille screen input. 6 dot. Button.
So these thumb keys work kind of differently, so let's go ahead and find a longer piece of text that won't fit on one line of 32 Braille cells.
Status cells. Equations use English code. Show on screen keyboard. Off. Turn pages when panning. On. While reading content, panning to the end of content will automatically turn the page. Double tap to toggle setting.
So as you heard, that was a really long thing, and that does not all show up on the Braille display.
On. Turn pages when panning. Show on screen key. Turn pages when panning. On.
Well, of course,
Reading content,
while
panning to the
while demonstrating, as we in the AT world always know that things do not work correctly the way they're supposed to when in use, but pretty much how those inner two keys will work is, let's say you're reading one selection, but that one selection has several sentences or is one long sentence and it all doesn't fit on your Braille display. You would use your inner thumb keys to navigate within that selection within a small area.
drawer tab. On.
And
Double
now
tap
let's
to toggle setting.
talk about what chords are. So, as we know, for those of us who are musicians, a chord is a series of notes that are held down together at the same time. So, what that means here is whatever keystroke you do, most of them will be a chord. So, for example, if I wanted to go one area to the left, I would do the A chord, which means I would hold down the space bar and press the letter A.
Turn pages when panning. Show on screen keyboard. Off.
Or if I wanted to go
Double tap to
forward
toggle setting.
one selection, I would do the .4 chord, which is hold down the space bar and press .4.
Turn pages when panning. Drawer tab. On. Double tap
So,
to toggle setting.
those are some other ways that you can navigate an area. Another useful keystroke is the the HH chord, and by that I mean you hold down the space bar and press H twice quickly, which will bring you to
App switcher.
the app
Settings.
switcher,
Active.
to where you can go through
Messages. Google.
the different areas.
Safari. Messages. Active. Swipe up with 3 fingers to close the app. Actions available. Messages. Messages.
Oh, that is not what I wanted to do.
App switcher. Settings. Active. Settings. Settings. Voiceover. Back button.
But as you can see, that will take you directly to your app switcher. And that being said, another useful keystroke to know is the home chord, or H chord with the spacebar, which will take you directly to your home screen, kind of like if you were to press the home button.
Voiceover off.
And then if you do H chord 3 times quickly, it'll be your toggle, so to speak, kind of like if you triple click the home button. It does the exact same thing. So what I'm going to do now is turn voiceover back on, which will make it automatically reconnect to the Braille display.
Voiceover on. Photography folder. Settings. Active. Settings.
Now, as we all know, there's lots of things that I've had to select or toggle. One of the easiest ways to toggle or select or do what would be the equivalent of a one-finger single tap would be clicking one of these router buttons above the Braille cells. And what these router buttons are normally used for is if you're typing in a document of some sort or inputting text on here, you would use these router buttons to navigate where you want to place your cursor. But in this case, for navigation purposes, you click it once for a one finger double tap, and you click it twice for like a one finger triple tap. So we are going to now navigate down to where it says Brailliant BI, because next I'm going to show you where you can find all of these commands yourself.
Turn pages with panning. On. Tour tab. On. Braille code. English. Alert display. More info. Selected. Brailliant BI 3271. Connected.
Alright, so now it says
Actions available.
Brailliant BI selected. So now we're going to go to the information button,
More info.
or more info.
2 of 2.
I'm going to click on that.
More info. Braille. Back button.
So it says Braille back button, which means that we are at the top left corner of the screen. If you ever hear it say back button, that will always mean you're at the top left corner of the screen, which is very important if you're trying to orientate yourself.
Brailliant BI 3271. Heading. Braille Commands. Button.
So if you go into this more info area, it's the very first thing that you can interact with says Braille Commands. So we can click here.
Select Brailliant BI 3271. Back button. Braille Commands. Braille. Button. Device. Button. Interaction. Button. Keyboard. Button. Navigation. Button.
So let's go ahead and go to navigation, see what kind of commands we can find in there.
Select Braille Command. Navigation. Heading. First item. Button. Last item. Button. Move to bottom of container. Button. Move to status bar. Button. Move to top of container. Button.
So let's go ahead and move to status bar. Let's see what that command is.
Status bar. Button. Select navigation. Move to status bar. Edit. Button. Braille keys. Heading. C2 plus C3 plus C4. Actions available.
So what it's saying is that it's a .234 chord, which means that it is an S chord. So let's go ahead and press that.
2 with 4 bars. Signal strength. Status bar item.
And now we're in the status bar at the top of our screen.
To reveal Verizon wireless network. 3 of 3 Wi-Fi bars. 10:57 p.m. Region tracking on. Alarm set. Bluetooth on. 63% battery power. Status bar item. 63% battery power.
And then to get out of that area, you just do the same thing.
C2 plus C3 plus C4.
And that C
Available.
stands for chord. And I don't know if you heard earlier, but it says edit.
Braille keys. Edit. Button.
You can always change the commands to where it's something that you want to do or you can remember. So these are just what's default, and you can always customize it. I know some people really like that as, a choice. People like choices. So you can always change your Braille commands. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Like always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and always check out our other videos. Don't forget, we also have started our podcast channel, and you should totally check out our SpectroCast. But keep in mind, our SpectroCast, depending on what the series is, some viewer discretion is advised. Thank you and have a wonderful day.